Trade. It was meant to be at least one of the big reasons for us going forth and doing Brexit. That apparently, once we had done Brexit, we will become this amazing trading nation, that we will go out and we will trade with the rest of the world. Well, even when we were in the EU, we were still trading with the rest of the world. The thing is, as we've always explained, Brexiteers loved Brexit to be about trade, but because they made Brexit this amorphous blob to make it whatever they want to be, if you started to try and talk about trade, well, then all of a sudden it would become about sovereignty, it would become about immigration, it would become about something else apart from trade. Because we've seen the numbers. We know that as we have left the European Union, our trade has gone down. The idea that we are exporting more has gone down, and the more idea that we are importing more from other countries has not improved either, because other countries, especially countries in Europe, which are our closest trading partners, all those new barriers that did not exist before, because Brexiteers, and especially this Conservative government, insisted that we be treated like a third country, which basically means being in none of the EU institutions that would ease trade or anything like that. Gone. Why? Because the Brexiteers are desperate to try and prove that we are once again this amazing trading nation. This is why they talk about doing trade deals with in the Asia Pacific. That's why we joined the Pacific Partnership. It's not going to be a benefit to the UK because we're not in the Asia Pacific. And someone always goes, "Oh, but what about the Pitcairn Islands?" No, that doesn't count. It really doesn't, unless you insist that you're going to move the entire UK population, its industry, over to the Pitcairn Islands, which isn't likely at all. So we are not in the Asia Pacific, despite what people say about the Pitcairn Islands. I know the Pitcairn Islands exist, but it's just not feasible. So the idea that we are going to benefit from this trade deal is ridiculous. It does not fit at all with what we see of countries doing big multilateral trade deals. America is doing this. The European Union, probably the best examples in the world. There's the South African trade union, there's a Caribbean trade union. All of these are all formed for one reason, and they are formed on the basis of how good and how strong and how influential the EU has become. So, when are we talking about trade again? Well, Kemi Badenoch today is flying off to Switzerland to try and discuss a post-Brexit trade deal with Switzerland to convince them to open up their financial services to the UK. It's going to go about as well as a lead balloon. So, before we go talking more about this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support our channel. So, before we go discussing into anything else, let's see what Kemi Badenoch herself has to say about this trade deal. So, she said, "There is a huge prize on offer to both the UK and Switzerland by updating our trading relationship to reflect the strength of our companies working in areas ranging across financial and legal to accountancy and architecture. The UK and Switzerland are natural," I like this, "natural trading partners." That's a very interesting terminology where you're like, oh yeah, we're natural trading partners. Well, if we're natural trading partners and you like to use that phrase, the UK's natural trading partners are in Europe. This is now the as Kemi Badenoch said herself recently when she was being torn a new one by Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House, recently said in that session during that urgent question that she had become a Brexit pragmatist, that she was looking at practical ways for Brexit. And yet, if you are someone who is a, quote, Brexit pragmatist, the thing you would most want to do is reduce the barriers that Brexit has put up. But to do that, that means You've got to talk to the EU. You've got to do deals with them. And as always, the thing with the Brexiteers, they are terrified. The second that they start doing deals with Europe, well, first of all, the ERG is going to absolutely flip out. How dare you do a deal with Europe? I say this is why they were so against the Windsor framework, because it's like, oh no, you're showing that if we work with Europe, we can get stuff done. Shock horror. I know, but that's the reason. And of course, the big key factor is that initially we did what was a rollover deal with them, and this rollover deal dates back initially 50 plus years. So it doesn't include things like digital or any innovation things like that, anything sort of more modern that you probably expect to see nowadays. So it doesn't include any of that. Will she be able to get anything? I very much doubt it, especially when it comes to the area of financial services, which is specifically the reason why she's going there to Switzerland, to try and gain UK access to those financial services. And if you know anything about Switzerland, they guard those financial services very, very jealously, even from the EU. So the idea that Kemi Badenoch is going to go to Switzerland, and then Switzerland's going to go, here you go, Kemi, here's our entire financial services. There you go. Absolutely not. Once again, what we are going to see, or we will eventually see, is an absolutely awful trade deal that will be tried to be sold as some sort of big net positive, but in reality will not be. It will absolutely not be at all. And also remember, the government announced back in at least 2022 that by the end of this year we would have a big trade deal not only with America but with India as well. And like I say, those have gone absolutely nowhere. The US would far rather do a deal with Europe, and India has said that if you want to do a trade deal with us, then that means you have to accept more visas and more immigration from us. And of course, the current Conservative Party ain't going to have that. So those two big gets for a potential Brexit win ain't going to happen anytime soon. And like I say, if you want to improve the UK's situation, you're going to do deals with who our trading partners are, who our natural trading partners are. And that is the EU. The big dream and the fantasy of the Brexiteers was we would leave, and then magically the rest of the EU would fall to pieces. That has not happened. There is no sign of that ever happening whatsoever. So once again, they just do and will not do anything that will actually generally improve the situation. Instead, they're trying to do deals with the Pacific Partnership and going around claiming that, oh, now we're part of this, we'll never be able to rejoin. Well, here's the thing. If you've actually looked at the leaving document, in order to leave the Pacific Partnership, you just have to give 6 months notice. So bear in mind, the entire 2-3 years worth of negotiations we went through with the EU, we'd just have to give 6 months notice to them, and that would be it. And bear in mind, we have yet to really see some of the consequences of what these trade deals, people like Kemi Badenoch and Liz Truss, have signed us up to. But they will be coming very, very soon as they start to kick in. And when those start to happen, oh boy, do we get talking about trade deals in our modern politics and what the consequences of signing some of these trade deals have been. I'm looking forward to that. So, as always, thank you very much for joining us today. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.